start again, all right?
The Crest tries to contact Beacon 23 for an emergency landing, but the ship's keeper tries to tell them they can't land and that he didn't give the green light. The ship's system seems defective because no matter how much the keeper tries to give a signal to warn the passengers, it ends up not responding. The Crest gets destroyed in front of the keeper's eyes. After seeing the ship destroyed, the keeper goes out and tries to rescue any survivor. He finds a pod and brings it back to the ship. Inside the pod there is a woman. She wakes up in pain, so he gives her patches. He tells her that her ship got destroyed in an accident and apologizes because he couldn't stop it. After she gets better, she explores the ship's features. He asks her who she is and what brought her here. She tells him that her name is Aster and that she is here to collect samples based on the report he made to her organization. She asks for access to the data on the ship, but the keeper refuses to give her access. She continues to explore the ship and uses her personal AI, Harmony, to assist her in her search. She meets the ship's AI and tries asking him for data, but they can't communicate. She tries to gather more information, but the keeper catches her in a place she isn't authorized to be in. They get into a physical fight where he puts her out. He puts her inside an empty room and ties her. Her personal AI shows up to set her free. The keeper wakes up and checks the room, but Aster isn't there. He sees another woman. She greets him and offers him a handshake. When he gets inside to shake her hand, she disappears and stands in front of him outside the room with Aster. Aster confronts him about him not being the keeper and his real name being Holland. She asks him where Solomon, the real keeper, is. He tells her she doesn't know. The ship's AI appears accusing Holland of imprisoning and murdering Solomon. The AI introduces himself as Bartholomew, Bart for short. Holland tries to explain his side, but Aster leaves. Bart demands Holland be brought before the authorities because of what he did to Solomon. Extraction ships are about to arrive in 35 to 40 hours from Ayasa. Aster goes to Holland for a quick chat. He asks her to let him go and tell the authorities he escaped. He insists that he can't stay here and starts having a panic attack followed by hallucinations. He confesses to her that he left his team and fears the severe punishment he will face if he is ever caught. His voice carries the weight of guilt and anxiety, making it clear that the experience has left deep scars on him. Aster and Harmony exchange concerned glances, quickly concluding that he is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, his mind still trapped in the horrors of his past. Understanding the urgency of his condition, Aster provides him with medical patches to help control his hallucinations, hoping to bring him some relief. However, Bart remains staunchly opposed to treating Halen, arguing that deserters do not deserve sympathy or aid. Despite Bart's objections, Aster chooses compassion over judgment, ensuring Halen gets the medicine he needs. In the midst of it all, she grows increasingly aware that she is running out of time. Her original mission to gather the necessary samples is slipping through her fingers. Torn between duty and empathy, she struggles to decide what matters most in that moment. Hallen tells Aster he remembered something and will only tell her if she comes face to face with him. He promises to help her find the rocks she's looking for if she allows him to take the smaller ship and leave. They agree and start the search. While searching, Hallen starts hallucinating and panicking. Aster continues the search without him and finds the rocks. After she finds the rocks, Aster refuses to let him go as agreed. After their conversation, Hallen notices another ship approaching the beacon and alerts Aster. The ship forces its way in. Aster and Harmony decide to move them to the lower level and be on the higher level, leaving Halen behind. The group of wreckers that get to the ship try to take control of the ship's system. Aster watches their move from the upper level. Bart suggests cutting off life support so they will die of oxygen depletion, but Aster refuses to do it because Halen is still there. As Halen watches what's going on from the room, one of the guys sees him and calls the rest of the group. They take him out of the room and he tries to negotiate with them by proposing to take them to the room full of qubits. In return, they will give him the small ship and 5 minutes with Aster. The wreckers agree and let him direct them to the qubits while sending a young man to go after him. Hallen escapes and goes to where Aster is. Hallen and Aster start fighting once they see each other and eventually stop. They find out one of the people on the ship is the minister of the currently destroyed planet. Aster discovers that Hallen is a weapon himself as he recharges. They activate the patches, using them as a means to split up the group and navigate their surroundings more strategically. As soon as the minister and the young man step inside one of the patches, it abruptly shuts down, trapping them momentarily in an unfamiliar space. Realizing they need to act fast, the remaining members begin searching for qubits, hoping they will provide the answers or resources they need to move forward. While searching, they stumble upon old photographs of themselves, snapshots of a past life that now feels distant and almost unreal. The young man stares at the images, a mix of nostalgia and sorrow washing over him, before suggesting something drastic, that they should simply forget they ever lived this life. His words hang in the air, filled with quiet desperation, as if erasing the past is the only way to escape its weight. It soon becomes clear why he feels this way. The young man is, in fact, the minister's son. This revelation adds another layer of tension, complicating their already fragile dynamic. Meanwhile, Aster finds herself forming an unexpected connection with the minister, sensing the depth of his struggles and the burden he carries. Her growing empathy toward him leads her to take a bold step. She attempts to stop the group from proceeding any further, believing there is another way to resolve the situation without sacrificing everything they once knew. Holland kills one of the guys and regains the ship's control system. Aster gets held at gunpoint by the minister. She proposes to help her escape along with her son. She gives her enough money for them to leave this place. In return, she asks the minister to take Holland with them. The minister and her son escape the place and ask Holland to come with them, but he refuses. The minister and her son get into a heated argument, and he accidentally shoots her. He then leaves the ship, taking the qubits. Aster kills the leader by stabbing him. Hallen is passed out on the floor after having hallucinations. Finally, Aster and Hallen realize they're better with each other by their sides. They contain the dead bodies of the wreckers. Aster gives Hallen the beacon's key and shows him the necklace she has that seems to have some connection with the ship. Aster and Hallen sit outside and spend time together bonding. They continue to go outside and spend more time together sharing their stories. Aster promises him she will get him to wherever he wants to go. Later on, they receive an unauthorized intruder, and Hallen fights with it. Aster stops both of them. The intruder turns out to be a friend of Aster's who works for the ISA. Aster excitedly shows her friend the rocks she has collected, explaining their significance and why they are worth the effort. Her friend examines them briefly before suggesting that they should head out now that they have what they came for. There is no point in lingering any longer, especially with tensions running high. However, Aster hesitates before revealing another part of her plan. Hallen is coming with them. She had promised to give him a lift to wherever he needed to go, and she intends to keep that promise. Her friend's expression shifts, clearly displeased with the idea. "Are you serious?" they ask, glancing at Hallen with skepticism. The air between them is immediately tense, as it's clear that her friend and Hallen don't see eye to eye. As they prepare to leave, the uneasy dynamic between them becomes even more apparent. Hallen remains guarded, unwilling to fully trust Aster's friend, while her friend views him as a burden rather than an ally. Their conflicting perspectives make it difficult to plan their next move, and every decision becomes a point of contention. Aster finds herself caught in the middle, trying to mediate between the two as they navigate their way forward. Despite the tension, she remains firm in her choice to help Hallen, even if it means dealing with the growing friction within the group. Aster and her friend spend time together, and everything seems to be going okay between Hallen and Aster's friend, but Aster is still bothered about how the crest was able to get destroyed. She looks inside the crest and finds some clues. They all have dinner together when suddenly her friend starts attacking Aster and reveals things Hallen has done. He was in the military until he abandoned his group to die. Aster goes outside with Hallen, and they comfort each other about the things that happened in the past. Hala sneaks into Aster's friend's room while they're talking. He steals something and gets out quickly. Aster confronts her friend about the accident on the crest and how it's planned. Her friend admits everything and drugs Aster. Hallen tries to use the data storage he stole from her, but it explodes when he plugs it in, leaving him unconscious. Astor's friend finds Holland and gets ready to kill him, but as she tries to shoot him, Astor stabs her in the back and ends her life with her own hands. 180 years ago, a guy docked on the Beacon, asking to be let in. An old lady appears to be living inside the ship and is the ship's keeper. Her relationship with her AI is a bit peculiar. They treat each other as a mother and a child. The AI even calls the old lady Mom. The AI informs her a repair ship has landed and that a man is waiting for her outside. Despite her growing wariness, she listens as he explains his purpose, stating that he is here to plant patches for a system update. His reasoning is logical, and his presence is not entirely unexpected, yet she remains cautious. Without warning, he presents her with a small token of appreciation, a gift meant to establish goodwill. She takes it, though her mind continues to analyze his every movement, searching for signs of ulterior motives. As he observes the ship's systems, his attention naturally drifts to the AI. He expresses interest in accessing it, likely intending to run diagnostics or gather information. However, she has no intention of allowing it. She informs him that the AI is resting, a statement that would sound strange to most, given that artificial intelligence does not require rest in the traditional sense. His reaction, though subtle, reveals his surprise. He has never encountered an AI treated in such a manner, and the idea of it being granted something as human as rest unsettles him. His curiosity about the AI grows, leading him to attempt to access it without permission. Expecting compliance, he initiates a direct connection, searching for stored data or operational logs. However, the response he receives is unexpected. The AI remains completely unresponsive to his commands, refusing to yield any information or acknowledge his presence. It does not operate like the standardized systems he is accustomed to, where access is granted based on technical protocols alone. This AI, known as Bart, operates differently. Its loyalty is not bound to simple command structures, but to the old lady herself. Without her explicit authorization, it refuses to engage, rendering his efforts futile. The lady recognized the guy's face. He was Michael Aleph, the CIO of the QTA. She is still trying to figure out why he came all the way here. The lady invites him over for tea, and he starts asking her questions about herself. She asks him about his family and tells him to feel comfortable. He gives her yet another gift for her hospitality. She refuses to accept it, but then changes her mind and opens it. She let him know she knew who he was as she opened the gift. The gift was a special kind of fabric. When she touches it, she suddenly feels uneasy and falls down. The AI asks him what he has done to his mother. The man tried to blackmail the AI by saying he would only give her the antidote if he cooperated with them. Bart prepares an antidote himself and gets it inside her body using a smaller robot insect. She wakes up and goes down to talk with Michael. The lady asked him why he didn't just ask her what he came for, rather than drugging her. She asks him why he is here, whether it's about the first beacon keeper or the artifact she saw. He tells her it's more than an artifact. It is an energy source, and it is a key to new findings like curing death. She gave him a pep talk calmly, and he was surprised by the kindness she showed him. Bart tries to warn her about the guy and tells her to hide while he takes care of him once and for all. She tells him if he wants to kill him, he will have to kill her too. Bart drops the idea because he doesn't want her to die. The old lady tells Milan what Bart is suggesting, and when she responds to Bart, Milan realizes how lonely he is and appreciates her compassion. He offers to take her with him to help him stay on track. She refuses his offer and asks him to stay with her instead as a family. As he is walking out of the ship, Bart kills him by suffocating him. The lady is devastated by what happened to him, and she realizes she has made a mistake in how she treated the AI. Before Milan died, he initiated a protocol that let him regenerate as another higher being. The lady is so upset by Milan's death that she tries to take her own life when suddenly Milan arrives, but this time it wasn't Milan she knew, but a new being called Aleph, the first transcendent intelligence. He offers the lady a partnership, but she refuses to go with him. He leaves the ship immediately, and the lady goes back to doing her daily chores, methodically tending to each task without hesitation, all while giving Bart the silent treatment, refusing to acknowledge his presence or respond to his attempts to communicate. After her friend's death, Aster is outside processing everything. Hallen thanks her for having his back. She doesn't seem to be that bothered by her friend's death for some reason. Her personal AI, Harmony, offers her a plausible explanation she can give to the company about her friend's death. Aster makes it clear that she has no intention of returning to QTA. She destroys her friend's belongings, so there is no evidence. Aster retrieves the video of the day Hallen's team was under attack. Aster and Hallen plan to leave the ship before the QTA shows up. Hallen experiences several hallucinations about people from his past and the rock. He thought he saw Aster stranded in space, and without hesitation, ventured out into the vast expanse to save her, his mind solely focused on reaching her before it was too late. Drifting further from the safety of the ship, he pushed forward, convinced that she was just within his grasp. Meanwhile, inside, Aster was alerted to the situation and informed that he had been outside for too long, the prolonged exposure causing him to hallucinate. Realizing the danger he was in, she immediately suited up and went out to retrieve him, determined to bring him back before it was too late. As she reached him, she found him in a dazed state, his eyes unfocused as he spoke of the rocks around him, whispering and calling out to him. Though most would dismiss his words as the effects of disorientation, Aster chose to believe him, convinced that there was something out there, something unseen yet undeniably present. Later on, Harmony shows Aster a virus that's inside Hallen's brain and a possible cause of his panic episodes and hallucinations. She suggests they use the virus as the explanation for why he did the things he did and prove him innocent. Aster takes away Bart's permission to allow Hallen to go out to space deliberately when he knows he is having one of his hallucination episodes. Bart tries to explain himself and tries to provide proof by bringing out the video of what happened to Solomon when Hallen came to the ship. Solomon refuses the docking of Hallen's ship, knowing he has no other choice. Hallen comes to the ship regardless. Solomon welcomed him to the ship and provided him hospitality. Solomon, however, feels threatened by Hallen and tries to contact the authorities for help. Hallen catches him and tells him that all communications go through me. Solomon devises an escape plan, but it gets ruined by Bart. Hallen at this point had to keep Solomon as a prisoner. Solomon accuses Hallen of coming to take the rocks, but Hallen passes out due to his post-traumatic disorder with the rocks. Using his unconsciousness, Solomon escapes from the ship, leaving Bart behind. When Hallen wakes up, he notices Solomon has escaped and tries to make Bart stop him, but he can't. He told Bart that Solomon wouldn't make it out there because Hallen had drained the oxygen station nearby. Solomon's ship was unresponsive and got lost. From that day on, Bart had always felt a strong sense of justice against Hallen and believed he should get punished for what he had done. Hallen continued hallucinating continuously and let the rocks fly up the ship to the atmosphere, and it created a phenomenal incident. Aster and Hallen get on the top of the ship and acknowledge what they saw as real, even though it seemed like a dream. A man fixes the ship while Bart asks him questions about someone who tried to blow up Beacon 24. The man tells him this patch will protect him from whatever attacked Beacon 24. Bart tells the man he knows that he planted explosives on the ship's server. The man tells him it's nothing personal rather than political. The man was part of a political group called Column. Bart persuaded the man by saying he would tell him new information about the relics that have a great deal in the Column Society. He tells him that it won't take long and that he should hear him out. The man returns and tells Bart to make the story faster. Bart tells him about the First Keeper. She is the first person who noticed the artifact. During that time, Bart was unable to detect the object with its sensors. The Keeper disappeared mysteriously without any sign whatsoever. Bart extended the man's stay by offering a beer. He starts telling him about the different beacon keepers, particularly about the couples. Couples are allowed to be joint keepers of the beacon as long as they are proved infertile. Despite this rule, this couple decided to have a baby and planned to smuggle the baby out of the ship after some time. It finally gets born. It was a girl named Parsim. The kid grew up under Bart's watchful presence, and over time, the AI grew fond of her, forming a bond that went beyond mere program duty. She was full of curiosity and energy, and though Bart was an artificial being, he found himself responding to her in ways that defied strict logic. As the little girl continued to explore her surroundings, she began to notice things that others could not. Strange artwork scattered throughout the ship. At first, they seemed like nothing more than old old relics, but soon she started exhibiting unusual behaviors, her demeanor shifting in ways that could not be easily explained. She would stare at the artifacts for long periods, seemingly lost in thought, and at times she even appeared to be communicating with them, responding to something unseen. As time passed, Parsim's behavior grew increasingly peculiar, her fascination with the artifacts intensifying. Concerned for her well-being, her mother began to worry that something was affecting her in ways they did not yet understand. Unwilling to take risks, she suggested that they leave before their originally planned departure time, hoping that distance from the artifacts would help restore her daughter to normal. As they prepared to leave, Bart, who had watched over Parsim for so long, could not ignore the quiet sense of loss settling in. Wanting her to have something to remember him by, he presented her with a small token, something that would ensure their connection would not be forgotten. Though he did not say it outright, it was clear that in his way, he had grown to care for her deeply. As she accepted the gift, the weight of their farewell hung in the air, unspoken yet deeply felt. While the man was listening to the story, the ISA ship arrived, and Bart informed the authorities as soon as the man landed. He was trying to get him caught by telling him all this story. The door was locked without anywhere to escape or go out. Bart tells him there is no point in touching the bomb's button, as the bomb was never loaded from the start. Because he knew who he was from the start, he was able to overwrite it. Bart wished the man good luck in prison. Going back to Solomon's arrival wasn't as pleasant as Bart expected. He was demanding, and he also made Bart lose all data by deleting all of Bart's memories before him so that he could be more reliable. Aster and Hallen spend their days studying the artifact. Aster goes up to the top of the ship and sees her younger self. She remembered the ship, her parents, her real name, Parsim, and looking at the artifact when she was a kid. She found her parents' stuff that Bart kept. A ship docks on their ship, and a man named Kier is associated with the Column, a group known for its terrorist crimes against the QTA. Aster let him inside regardless of who he was. He was there for the artifact just like everyone else. He asked Bart how he hadn't recognized him because he had been on this ship before, but Bart can't remember anything before Solomon. Kier's friends shoot Hullen and tie both Aster and Hallen up. The intruders hacked into the server system, but there was nothing about the artwork in Bart's system. One of Kier's friends asks Hallen to join them, but he declines. Bart faked remembering Aster's by analyzing the information she already had. He was feeling frustrated because he couldn't function properly. Bart gets self-destructive and destroys himself. The ship came under sudden attack, alarms blaring as enemy fire shook its hull. Chaos spread, but Hallen quickly took control. With sharp combat skills and swift moves, he fought off the attackers, turning the tide of the battle. Thanks to him, the ship was saved, but the danger was not over yet. Kier's friends threaten Hallen to come with them, but he dismisses them. Aster asks Hallen to come with her into the artifact. Aster is still determined not to return to QTA, but Kier's friends are instructed to detonate the ship. Aleph arrives on the ship to discuss with Aster. He is also here for obvious reasons. The artifact. Aster offered to help him in exchange for Hallan's freedom, and that he go with her. Aster tells Aleph that she saw Hallen in the artifact with her. Kier's people were suffocated by Harmony on Aleph's command. Since he is her creator, she has a duty to him. Kier's friends were granted leave by Aleph's order. They were told to take Kier with them. Aster finally makes a deal with Aleph about going to the artifact, along with Hallen and Harmony. Kier showed up looking for updates, his face tense as he learned about Aster's deal with Aleph. He didn't like it, and made it clear he couldn't let her go through with it. Before she could react, he pulled out his weapon and shot her. Pain hit her instantly as she collapsed, blood spreading around her. Hallen's screams filled the ship, full of fear and shock. As everything blurred, she saw something strange, two versions of herself. One was young and full of wonder, the other older and worn by time. They stood before her as the world around her faded into darkness. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.